Hi everyone, I'm Chris the Fireplace Whisperer and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. I want to answer a question that you might have, and that is, what is a freestanding stove? A freestanding stove is a heat-rated stove that's designed to heat your home or maybe a business that you have. And the three fuel types that are the most common are wood, gas, and pellet. And when I say gas, that means it could be natural gas or propane, depending on what fuel you have coming to your home or your business. These are pre-assembled units. A manufacturer will assemble these on their assembly line. It gets packaged, it gets shipped to an authorized dealer where you might walk onto the showroom floor and you're looking at these freestanding units, or maybe it's a brochure that you're looking at and you're, ooh, I like that one. You then buy it and maybe you take it to your house because you're going to install it. A lot of times an installer would come out and install it in your home, and that is what happens in the order. You choose what you like, and then it gets installed, and you light the match, or you hit the button on the remote, or flip a wall switch. Boom, it's now in your home. It's a safe heat, and it's an efficient heat in your house. When a manufacturer creates a new design or a whole new product, they are required to ship that unit to a UL listed company who then put that product through rigorous testing. They have like movable walls and temperature probes and computers and sensors, and they're the ones that are really deciding how close can you have combustibles, or what hearth protection does the stove have to sit on. And they're the ones that really write a lot of the clearances in the installation manual. And so a manufacturer spends a lot of money to make sure that the product they're selling you is safe. So when you have it installed in your home, it is a safe product that you'll get many, many years of use out of. The design aspect of a freestand stove, like how is a freestanding stove made, they start with the firebox. And this is where the fire begins. If it's a wood freestanding stove, this is where you're gonna throw the wood in, this is where you're gonna light the match. If it's gas, natural gas or propane, this is where the flame turns on. If it's a pellet freestanding stove, this is where the burn pot lives and the auger, and this is where it drops the pellets, and then that's where that burns. So you have this firebox that's usually metal. Sometimes with wood stoves, it's a cast iron plates that are bolted together, and it gets very, very hot. And so, and it looks unfinished. And so the manufacturer will put on kind of the coat around it. Picture this, the shell, the finished components. So when you look at a finished stove, you're like, oh, that's a nice looking stove. Is that cast iron? And so the common materials used are steel, cast iron, or soapstone. And that's, when you look at a freestanding stove, those are usually one of the three main components that are used in the design and the build of that unit. Now, a freestanding stove is freestanding, so it's not attached to anything, it's away from the wall, freestanding. It has to sit on something, so it's usually sitting on 4 legs or a pedestal, and that's where it sits. The advantages of a freestanding stove are usually you have a couple different choices where you can put a freestanding stove. If it's in your great room, your family room, where commonly you'll find a freestanding stove, a lot of times there's usually multiple places that you can put it, as long as you can vent it properly or you can get the gas line there. Usually you would be placing it so you can view it from different parts of the home. So in the family room you can see it, maybe from the dining room you can see it, from the kitchen you can see it, and that may also dictate where you put it. Also, Where do you store your wood? If you're putting a wood stove in, maybe this location over here is better because of the distance to your wood shed or the wood pile next to the house. So there's different reasons for the placement of the stove, but what's nice about a freestanding stove is that it is pretty versatile in the sense of we're going to set it and then we're going to vent it. If it's a gas freestanding stove and if it's a direct vent makes up the majority of the market, B vent is the minority of the market, and that's information for another video, but usually it's going to be a direct vent stove that can vent right out the wall and just terminate with a horizontal cap, or you can vent vertically also. If it's a wood stove, you have to vent vertically. You can't just go out the wall and call it good, because it's with wood, you have to have a draw, so it's the heat going up that brings in the fresh air that allows it to continue to operate. So you have to terminate vertically. If it's a pellet stove, because it has an exhaust fan on it, pushing out the exhaust, it's not relying on a natural draw for it to pull out the exhaust. It's pushing out the exhaust. You can vent that right out the wall if you want, just straight out the back, right out the wall, or you can also go vertical with those also. There could be some disadvantages for some homeowners, and one would be that there are more surface areas on this freestanding unit that you need to keep clean. For others, it's not a big deal. For some, they would think along those lines, like, do I do a built-in fireplace where I have like one side I just gotta dust, or do I want to do a freestanding unit where I gotta like dust all the sides and the top and underneath? Is there legs? Ooh, I really gotta clean underneath of it. So that can be a disadvantage for some. Another disadvantage might be a freestanding stove will typically protrude out into the room a little bit more than, say, a built-in fireplace. If it's a wood freestanding stove, you have a hearth pad that has to continue past the front of the unit. So when you open the door to either light the match or you're throwing new wood in it and an ember pops out, woo, I'm free, and it lands, you want to make sure that hearth pad is out far enough to protect your floor. And so a hearth pad will usually protrude anywhere from 3.5 to 4 feet away from the wall. And so that can be a disadvantage for some. So that is basically a freestanding stove. Now you know more than you did a few minutes ago. If you're in need of a freestanding stove, maybe you need to replace an existing one that you have. Maybe you have a blank wall and you want to put a stove right there. If you're local here in Hood River, Oregon, I want to invite you to our showroom floor where we have dozens of units on display that can help you choose the right one. If you're not local, then happy hunting for that perfect freestanding stove for your home. You're now more educated, so when you walk into a showroom, you will be in the know. Thanks for watching. My name is Chris, the Fireplace Whisperer. If you haven't subscribed yet and want to see future videos from me, just hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.